The following content contains strong language and may not be suitable for children. This content is primarily for adults as this is a trucking channel and truckers have filthy mouths. Please don't tweak if I say viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Come on in, guys. Come on in. Hit that like button. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What time is it? It is 10:30 a.m. All right, so it's 11:30 still on the East Coast. So I guess good early afternoon to the people on the East Coast. To everybody else, good morning, good morning, good morning. Shout out to all the MGMs. Shout out to all the moderators. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Shout out to Great Polo. I see Great Polo in the building. All right, come on in, come on in. Make sure you guys hit that like button. How's everybody doing this morning? How is everybody doing? All right, so today I want to talk about fear and greed. I want to talk about fear and greed. This is something that I probably would reserve this conversation for maybe the members only, maybe the Discord, but I think I need to dive a little bit into, just some business practices that a person who may not be a seasoned business owner or maybe a seasoned investor may know. And this is how seasoned business owners and seasoned investors are able to foresee a market, foresee trends, know how to move and, shake throughout different business industries and throughout different investments. I know a lot of time people hear me and they be asking me like, when you say, one person's downfall is the next person's opportunity, and you be saying, man, if you don't want to do what's in your best interest, no problem. We need you to fail anyway because I'm just going to come buy all your assets for a fraction of the cost. What you mean by that, Mark? We're going to talk about it today. Now, since this is a trucking channel, I'm going to utilize the trucking industry as my example. We're going to use different market trends as far as trucking is concerned. And I'm going to also use myself as an example in how I maneuver through business and how I maneuver through investments. Now, if you are a part of the MGM group, then you are privy to the members only live streams, and I tell you about the investments. I tell you what I'm getting into. I tell you what I'm getting out of. I tell you why I'm getting out of. It's all because of trends that I see. And a lot of it is based off fear and greed. All right. So let's get into it. All right. All right. I got my notes. All right. I got my notes written down here. I'm sorry, because I just got my bullet points. That way I can just look at my bullet points and then I can cook up. All right. So basically, fear and greed. All right. So fear and greed are two strong emotions that drive human behavior. Right. All right. Now, in business and in the investing world, obviously, fear tends to drive people one way when there's a lot of uncertainty in a specific market, business, or investment. A lot of people tend to sell off investments or exit industries, right? When there's greed, you see a lot of people running into a specific investment and or a specific industry, which ultimately, in most times, all right, leads to a bubble, right? And with that bubble, it leads to unsustainable business practices. And obviously, eventually that bubble will burst. And another thing a lot of people ask me, what do I mean? It leaves a lot of people left holding the bag. All right. So we're going to talk about fear and greed in business, I'm going to give you some tips on how to forecast, right? And I'm going to give you some tips on how to maneuver. And I'm going to use myself and I'm going to use trucking as an example so that you can understand. I may take a few questions at the end. All right. Yesterday on the live stream, we was talking and Midwest, and I always talk about consumer behavior, consumer buying behavior, right? How you can kind of forecast the market based on consumer buying behavior. If you're in the trucking industry, you're providing a service, and that service is to move goods, right? When there's an economic collapse, or the economy isn't really thriving and people are spending less money, that means there's less goods to move, right? So I always say, when you follow the money, you can kind of see where the market is headed, right? You look at consumer buying behavior. When consumers are buying a lot, all right, volume is obviously going to be up, and that's good for truckers, right? Depending on what the supply is, right? The rates will go one way up or the other. If the consumer buying behavior is down because people aren't buying, so they're a little bit more conscious of how they're spending, it's lower volume, all right, prices will come down, more competition, so on and so forth. We talk about that. Let's talk about the pandemic, right? And I'm gonna use me, all right. People that have been following the channel, you probably already know this. I haven't done a live stream specifically on this, but there's a lot of new people, so let me kick it with you. The pandemic brought a lot of greed, right? There was a lot of greed that came into trucking and other businesses during the pandemic, right? One, there was a lot of volume, right? A lot of volume, right? So rates went up, right? There was a lot of influence that brought people into the trucking industry because the rates were high, because the volume was up, right? So that created a frenzy, right? It created a trend, and a lot of people came into the trucking industry because they had that FOMO, the fear of missing out. They just saw it everywhere. Trucking, primarily box truck. Got to get a box truck, man. Box truck industry. We making 20,000 gazillion dollars a week, man. We running for 50 gazillion million dollars a mile. This, that, and the third. And for the most part, a lot of that information was factual, but a lot of people didn't understand why the rates were so high, because they didn't understand business. All right, they didn't understand economics. They didn't understand what was going to come after that. They didn't understand that they were in an inflating bubble. All right. Person like me during that time, because I understand business and I follow the fear and greed index, I understand fear and greed. I had to step back and look at this whole thing, right? That bubble affected me differently. I had already been in business. My business had already been at scale. I had already seen success, but that bubble affected me negatively, right? Because people had money, right? So people weren't coming to work. I had trucks sitting. I was operating, at minimum, right? It also forced me to come back out into the field, and I had to get back on a truck, right? So I had to think about my business practices, right? What I learned, what had made me successful with investment and in business, right? I started to see the trend. I started to see the mindset shift. I started to see the bubble. I understand economics, right? I had a decision to make. I saw a lot of people coming into the business. All right, what's going to happen? I saw trucks starting to go for inflated rates. People were greedy. When people are greedy in business, you should be fearful. And when people are fearful, you should be greedy. I'm going to say it again. When people are greedy in business and or investments, you should be fearful. And when people are fearful, you should be greedy. People were greedy. It made me fearful, right? Now, I'm smart, all right? I started to sell off assets, right? Because the assets were at an appreciated value, which never happens, like trucks and vehicles just in general, they're depreciating assets, right? You drive these vehicles, you put miles on them, you beat them up. As far as trucks are concerned, you wear and tear. But because of the lack of vehicles available, because the manufacturers weren't producing new vehicles, because there was so much influence driving people into this industry, assets were scarce. So that made the value on used equipment go through the roof. I was able to sell off my used equipment for way more than I had purchased it for a decade ago, which never happens, right? So I started to divest at profit, which never happens, right? I had never been through a pandemic before, but I'm fearful because everyone else is greedy. And now here, 2 years later, in hindsight, obviously I made the right decision, but I still held on to 3 trucks just as, just for insurance purposes, not insurance as far as what you think of insurance, but as if I did make the wrong decision. And when this pandemic was over with, something that I had never seen before was over with, if I needed to ramp back up, I had 3 vehicles to start with, right? I ended up selling one of those vehicles last January, so I have 2 still now. But I started to offload assets, trucks, equipment, just everything, right? Making money from it. Everybody was greedy. I started to see that euphoria, which is stage 3 of a bubble. Start selling more. And now here in hindsight, the fear and greed index proved me right. When everybody was greedy, I was fearful. I took advantage. I made the right decision, because if I didn't, I would be up Schitt's Creek right now. I would definitely be struggling with employment. I would have missed an opportunity to offload old equipment that we had beat to shit for a decade plus, depending on the number, which truck was being sold, because some trucks were purchased in 2013, some in 2014. And right now I would have a hard time trying to offload that equipment, right? Because no one has any money, and I missed my opportunity to sell it at profit, which never happens, right? So following that fear and greed, in hindsight, it works. It works. I was right again. All right. Now, the people that were greedy at that time, not understanding what they were investing in, got caught left holding the bag. Why? A lot of people bought that equipment. They purchased equipment for a lot more than what it was worth. It was overvalued. Let's look at another industry during that time period. The stock market. All right, I have investments, been investing in the market for a long time. Stock market was in a bubble during the pandemic due to the infusion of capital as well. Americans were infused with capital. People were sitting around, so people started gambling. I call it gambling because you had a lot of retail investors that weren't traditional investors, that didn't know how to study the market, didn't know how to research companies, and didn't really understand what they were investing in. But because there was so much money floating around, people were just jumping in the stock market, jumping in crypto. So that market was inflated. I made a lot of money. I knew why these companies were overvalued. Let's look at a company that I made a lot of money off of during the pandemic, an EV company called NIO, right? I started buying NIO in 2020, right, when the market crashed, right? And I'm going to get into fear and get back to fear and greed, but I'm talking about greed now. When the market crashed, when President Trump got on the TV and said, we're shutting everything down, blah, 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 every single market tanked, every single one. Stock market, crypto market, everything went down. The economy just shut down. It literally shut down in general because everything was closed. You had to wait till your mayor, your governor determined if your industry was essential or non-essential. This is before, the president said, what, we're going to let each state decide, if they're going to open or close. But when it first happened, everything shut down. Everything tanked because people were fearful. Now, to a a seasoned investor, this was a great opportunity. Why? Because now I can buy assets on sale. I remember Bitcoin was $9,000. That day it went from $9,000 to $3,000. Everything tanked. I started buying assets. One of them was Neo. Started buying it like $4. Dollar cost averaging in 5, 6, 7. I bought it all the way up to $27. Right? Because once people started getting infused with capital, they started investing. Within 30 days, the market was back thriving again. Within 30 days. Why? Because smart investors knew this was the time to buy. We're smart money, right? We buy early. We buy when other people sell off. We buy low. We sell high. We leave other people left holding the bag. So I started to buy. I bought dollar cost averaging all the way up to $27. Now, here's a company that was brand new. They're not in every market. They're still building. They're still developing. I dollar cost averaging up to $27. I ended up selling off at $44. This company was overvalued. That stock was not worth $44. And it went higher than that. But the reason why I sold is because I started to see a trend. Another company, CCIV, which is now Lucid. I started buying that at $18. I ended up selling at $59. I sold right before the announcement of the SPAC merger, which was supposed to be that Monday. But I'm a smart investor. I know, buy the rumor, sell the news. I'm not going to wait for that day because 9 times out of 10, it's going to tank that day. So I'm going to get out early. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. The market was overinflated. Why? Because Lucid hadn't even had a vehicle on the street. There was no reason for that asset to be $60. I got in early and I sold to someone at $59, a retail investor who was greedy because now at this point, that market is infused with capital. Everywhere you went on social media is talking about, man, stocks. I'm making this much money off of stocks. I'm making this much money off of crypto. When you see people who never talk about stock or never talk about crypto, talking about how much money they're making, when you got rappers, you know what I'm saying, that you never see talking about this shit. Influence that you never see talking about this shit. Your homie on the block, man, talking about, man, I just bought 2 shares, because they ain't finna run up a bag. They ain't finna buy. They ain't finna be no whale. They gonna talk, man, I just bought 2 shares of this, man. You heard of this CCIV, man? I heard that's supposed to make me a millionaire. I bought 2 shares of it. When you hear people like that talking about some shit, it's time to go. I'm gonna get back to the trucking thing. It's time to get out. It's time to take your money and run. Why? This is an indicator. This is an indicator that we may be at the top of the market. When you have people who aren't investors, traditional investors, because now there's a lot of hype around it. There's a trend. It's smart money starts to exit. Now it's time to start leaving because now you got dumb money in. This is what we call dumb money. It's time to go. So I sold. I started to exit all of my stock, majority of my stock investments. Not my long-term investments, right? But my short-term investments, especially the companies that I know were overvalued. You had a company like Workhorse that was going for $33, $40 now. They still don't have a vehicle on the road. And guess what? They're a penny stock now. They're so much of a penny stock now, they had to do a reverse split just to stay on the goddamn stock exchange because they were going to get delisted. A company that hasn't even produced a vehicle was going for $40 a share. This is how inflated it was because of the euphoria and the fear of missing out. These companies weren't worth that much. I saw the greed. So it made me fearful and I exited. And guess what? Right after that, the market started to tank. And all those people who were greedy because they were following trends, following their favorite social media content creator who don't know shit about shit, They bought high and they got caught left holding the bag because they were greedy. They were dumb money. Smart money had been in. Smart money left dumb money holding the bag. There was a lot of people that came into trucking during the pandemic greedy, fear of missing out, FOMO. Follow the trend. Bought overpriced trucks. A smart person who was a business owner that may have been looking to get into this business, maybe looking to invest into this business, would have been able to read the room, and you know what they would have said? Now may not be the time. If I can't find a asset that I could purchase that's not inflated as far as the cost, if I can't find a way into this industry at an affordable cost, then I may need to wait because this bubble is going to burst. Like, there's no way this truck should be selling for $80,000. This is a $25,000, $30,000 truck at most. When this market and this bubble burst, I'm still going to have this high overhead. And when this bubble burst and all this lingering capacity is still here, and when the government stops giving out all this money, these rates are going to retrace. But I'm still going to be stuck here, left holding the bag. Everybody's greedy now. I should be fearful. Now, let's talk and give examples of being greedy when people are fearful. Right now, people are fearful. Oh, yes, they're fearful. Why? Rates are low, cheap freight and all this stuff that you hear. You have people that went out, followed the trend. They were greedy. They got caught left holding the bag. They bought trucks from Penske. They bought trucks. Listen, Ryder, you go to Ryder right now, you buy one truck, they give you the second truck 50% off. Go to, you don't believe me? Go to Ryder. Go to their website. Pull up on a Ryder. During the pandemic, they sold you a truck with 300,000-400,000 miles for $70,000. Now they can't get that truck away. That truck they want maybe 26. I was just looking on the website this morning, 30,000. You buy that truck for 30,000, they're gonna give you a second truck 50% off. Get the second for 15,000. Whatever the most expensive truck, you pick two trucks and one is 30 and one is 20, then you're gonna pay full price for the 30 one. And then the second one that's 20, they're gonna give it to you for 10. So you're gonna walk away with two trucks for $40,000. If you'd have bought them trucks in 2021, you would have spent over $150,000. Those are probably two trucks that they did sell during the pandemic that they had to go recover and repossess. People are fearful now. Now it's time to be greedy. So when I be hard on people and say, man, ain't no such thing as cheap freight, and I tell you, understand your cost, this, that, and the third, now is the time. You can get equipment at a fraction of the cost. If you understand how to run your business, you understand your cost, you definitely can go out here and win. We talked about math. You see it time and time again. People don't even know they cost per mile. We still have yet to see one person. Listen, if I was entering into, if I was a spectator, if I was watching another guy, let's say it was me and it wasn't me, but I'm you, but I'm watching me, knowing what I know. And I kind of align with me. And I'm looking at the call-in show and I'm looking at the other little things and damn, don't nobody know how to add? Man, the trucks is cheap. They say I can buy one, get the other half off. These guys don't know how to add. This is my competition. These guys are all scared. Maybe it's time for me to be greedy. They can't count no way. This is my competition. Let me go ahead. Now is the time. Everybody fearful. Now it's the time to be greedy. The person who comes in right now, they're going to come in for a fraction of the cost. If you know how to run your business, you're going to win. Let's say this back that everybody said, I can't wait till things go back to the way they were. Let's say you get 20%, let's say 10% of what you may think back is. Let's say you get 10% of that, a 10% bump from where things are now. If you can enter into this industry now for cheap, like you are entering into, when I'm telling you, I'm looking at trucks, these are 2015, 2016 prices for trucks. If you can enter into this industry now with a low cost and win in this industry, imagine your profit margin if the rates go up 10%. Imagine if there is another huge exodus of capacity exiting the market after this peak season, because you know what happens in January. You have to forecast. You know, in January and February it's going to be dead, and you know a bunch of people that are holding on by the hair on their chinny chin chin right now. If they holding on by the hair on their chinny chin chin right now into peak season, if they still holding on to that hair on their chinny chin chin in November and December, you already know in January they done. You already know in January done. That ain't no if and or maybe. That's a for sure thing. I will put it all on the line. If they is hanging on by a hair in November and December, you know January that's gonna be it. That's it for them. Go ahead and call the pallbearer, pimp. Go ahead and call the pallbearer. So now you know, boom, it's going to be a bunch more people exiting in January. We know this. Everybody's scared. Now is the time to get in and win. So when I say, listen, if you don't want to do what's in your best interest, it's going to be somebody else's opportunity. This is what I'm talking about. Those buy one, get the second half off trucks, 9 times out of 10, those were repossessions. You know why? Because these companies didn't even have trucks to really sell. They had a few trucks that they were selling at inflated prices, but the lot was scarce. You'll go on these websites back then, you might scroll through one page and that was it. Now you just scrolling. You're like, damn, I'm on page 15. They still got trucks, man. I'm went 15 pages and I didn't put the order in newest to oldest. I'm 15 pages in and I'm only on the 2018s, the 2017s. God damn, they got a lot of trucks. 9 times out of 10, these trucks were repossessed. So that person's downfall is your come up. When people are greedy, you should be fearful. When people are fearful, you should be greedy. You should use that in business. You should use that investing. You want to be smart money. You don't want to be dumb money. You don't want to be left holding the bag. You don't want to be the person that follows trends and follow people into trends. I'm going to tell you this. When you hear something, people are starting to talk about something everywhere you turn, that's all you keep hearing about, the box truck business, the box truck business, the box truck business, trucking, the box truck business. The real money already been made. The smart money is divesting. I'm a prime example of it. I've been in the industry for years, had already made my money, built up a fleet. I'm selling off to dumb money at a price. Them trucks, what I sold my trucks for, man, I sold it to some suckers. I sold my trucks to suckers, a bunch of suckers. I sure did. Had already made my money, and now I'm making more money on the exit. More money than I would have expected. When you hear shit, the real money already been made. Let's look at another market. When people started hearing about stock and the crypto bubble and the stock bubble, the real money had already been made. If I'm dollar cost averaging into something at $5 and $6 and $7, and then I divest at 40 something dollars and it goes to $60. Once I start hearing Man and Pookie talk about, man, you got to buy stocks. When I'm hearing Foe and them talk about, man, I just bought these stocks. I don't give a fuck what stocks they talk about. When I hear Foe and them, and I hear Man and them talking about, man, they just bought some stocks, man, I'm out of here. Market, we at the top. Time to skate, pimp. It's time for me to divest. Let's get out of all this shit. As soon as the market open the next day, listen, where we want to start divesting. This shit finna come crashing down. When you seen people like Bandman and just other people that aren't even in this business talking about creating box truck videos, that was your indicator. When you hear people that never did this, and you can't knock them, they see a trend, they see Google trend, they see box truck business trending, the arrow is going up and to the right, they just capitalizing. You can't really knock them. It's your job. It's your job to read the room. It's your job to know how to invest your money or not, or when it's time to invest, or when it's time to divest. You can't get mad at that person or all these other people that created trucking content with basic Googleable information, which some of it was Googleable, some of it was Googleable with a mix of misinformation. Like, there's no way. I'm looking at all these videos from content creators, and then when you go back through their content, I'm like, okay, so 8 months ago, you was making videos on guns. 2 years ago, you was making videos on content creation. 10 years ago, you was making videos on horseback riding, whatever the case may be. Now you making content on box trucks? You can't get mad. That person saw an opportunity and they capitalized on it. When you hear people talking about things that have never done this or are new to it, that's your indicator that, yo, people are greedy now. Maybe I should be fearful. Maybe I should wait. This thing is about to come crashing down. I think right now is a great time to invest. Why? Because everybody's fearful. Things are on sale. When things bottom out, which I'm hoping they do, and I know you like, well, man, Mark, that's not good, because I'm trying to listen. I always tell you, I think like a capitalist. Your plight and my plight, two different plights. When things crash, I don't cry about it. I don't mope. I don't complain. I look at it as opportunity. Because I know it's only one way when things bottom out where they can go. They can go up. They're going to go up. I don't care if it goes up 5%, 10%, 20%, 100%. There's investments that I've made 10%. I have investments that I've made thousands of percent. And we talk about this in the members only. There's 2 that I gave. And I showed my portfolio some months ago as far as a few investments are concerned. This one thing I started buying at like 7 cents, dollar cost average. I mean, like 3,000 or 4,000% return on that. Ridiculous. There's things that I'm looking at now that we talk about. There's things that I divested from recently, and I told the community why I was getting out. A lot of people, I tell people what I'm doing. I don't tell people what to do. I tell people what I'm doing. And I divested from a bunch of stuff. I felt something and I was right. I started moving that money into something else that I saw was more profitable. Because why? I follow the money. If I understand that I'm in this investment, but I need this group of people to invest into this in order for me to make money, but I know that this group of people can't invest in this because of the way the economy is right now, and people don't have it, then guess what? I'm going to take my winnings over here, divest from it, and move my money to where people are putting money into so that I can make money, but I want to do it early enough, right? So that I can get the investment cheap, so that when things do start to brighten up, when the economy does turn around eventually, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, I had already been in for cheap, and I'm just riding it to the top, divest, move on to the next thing. Wash, rinse, and repeat. So when I say, yeah, I hope shit crumbles, yeah, because it's an opportunity. It's a buying opportunity. This is why I say, yo, you want to have cash on hand. Work, practice delayed gratification, stockpile cash, so when other people do dumb shit, you can come. This is what I mean when you can come and buy they shit. See, it was people that went and did what wasn't in their best interest during the pandemic. They went and bought a truck that was overpriced, right? They still had money left over because they just didn't get the 20. You know, they've got the 20. Then they got unemployment for 5 different states. You know, they was running up a bag. So they got the truck. They got everything they need to go. They still had 50,000 left. But you know what? Getting out the mud truck and LLC, they had to come through with the purge. They had to come through and buy them bottles. They had to go to Saks. They went to Neiman's. Remember, the lines was long. I'm like, God damn, I'm coming down here to buy me some Dior's. Where this line come from? Where this line come from? I'm calling my rep in the Gucci store, man. Like, man, I need them high top sneakers, big dog. Man, what's this line outside? What's going on? Man. Like, Mark, Mark, you gotta wait, man. God damn. Where these lines come from? Y'all know y'all was standing in them lines. Burberry line. Y'all was in the Burberry line. I seen y'all. You was in the Dior line. You was in the Gucci line. You was in line at Louis. The only places that didn't have lines was Saks and Neiman's because those are department stores. They didn't make us stand in line. You could just walk through there. But you went and you did that. You went to Vegas. Yeah, I saw you at Dre's. I was there too. You was in the big section. I saw them bring the Magnum bottle through. I'm like, damn, he paid $20,000 for that bottle? Oh, that's the Magnum bottle. I saw you. That's how I knew who you was when I seen you. I'm like, damn, man, they getting it. While you was out in Vegas, you ran through the mall, you went in the Rolex, you bought you a day date, you bought the one with the gold face. Yeah, with the diamond dial. You got the gold face, that champagne face one. That motherfucker flicking too. You got that day date, bought your first Rolex. You ran all through all the finesse, all the finesse money. Then you got hit with the woo wop. Woo, them tables turned, didn't they? Now you all on the internet trashing your content creator because you saying they sold you a dream, and then maybe they did. I don't know. I ain't in your business. I'm just telling you what you did. You got all this drip, all these memories from all these nights. The memories from them nights in the club, you can't see them clothes. You can go to Poshmark, you can sell them. And this is what I'm talking about. Now we get into what I'm talking about. When people go out and they do shit that's not in their best interest because they don't understand what they're investing in, they don't practice delayed gratification. That's when a guy like me who has cash on hand, man, I heard you said you bought that Rolex. Yeah, I paid 10 for it. That's when the prices were starting to go up on them. Yeah, I know. I got 5 for you. But man, it's even more now, Mark. It's worth 15 now. I feel you. But you fucked up out here in these streets. You say your box truck note behind, they looking for it. You saying you got to make the insurance payment. You saying these motherfuckers keep taking this cheap freight, right? You ain't got no money. You need to pay your insurance. Now, I can help you. But man, it's worth 15 though, bro. Man, it's got the champagne face. I know what it is. Man, I know you know what it is. Mark, man, why you playing me? Listen. I got a nickel for you. This nickel going to help you out. Listen. I know it's worth 15. I got a hot nickel for you, pimp. What you want to do? No, I'm going to give you think about it. It's right here. Let me know when you're ready. Ain't even 24 hours. Man, come on here and run that, man. Bring the paper. Okay, no problem. Bring the paperwork with you, pimp. Make sure you bring the paperwork with you. When you go out and you do shit that's not in your best interest, it's always going to be smart money that got cash on hand to buy your assets, and that's an asset. Rolex is an asset. It's always going to be people to buy your assets. They're going to have cash on hand, but they're going to buy them for pennies on the dollar. You might have took some of your PPP and your unemployment from 5 different states. You might have got into the stock market. Now you may need to sell these stocks. In this market, you trying to sell off your assets when shit is cheap? Let me get them. You selling off all your assets. You said you bought your girl a Rolex too? Let me get that. Man, I got $2,500 for you. What you want to do? Now you got $7,500. This is going to keep you in the game. Now you can pay your insurance. All right. You can catch up on your truck note. Now you back in the game. But man, bro, I ain't going to be able to get this Rolex at the price I got it for. Man, listen, what you want to do, pimp? Man, you getting over on me, Mark. Man, it's business. You need this money or you don't. That's how you going to do me, OG. It's business, big dog. You need the money. Why would I give you what I can just go find it from a Rolex dealer and get? Like, I'm buying it off you off the street. I need the street deal, pimp. This is what happens when you do what's not in your best interest. And this is what I say, keep doing it, because there's always going to be somebody there to buy your shit for a little or nothing. And you're going to have to sell it for a little or nothing, because you need to be infused with capital so you can keep going. Because you didn't do what was in your best interest. You didn't read the room. When everybody was greedy, you was greedy. And you followed everybody in on the play because of FOMO. Not understanding what you was investing in. Capitalism. Nobody cares that you made a piss poor decision. The people that you buying from when you greedy, like the people that came and bought from me, of course I knew. It's not my business to tell them. Listen, fam, man, in about 8-9 months, this shit finna go belly up. Listen, this is an opportunity for me. Your stupidity is my opportunity. It's not my fault that you ain't educated yourself. The reason why I continue to educate myself the reason why when I get up in the morning, the first thing I don't do is scroll on. I don't even have a personal Instagram. Never had one. Because I don't give a fuck about that shit. First thing I do when I wake up, where the money at? I'll go straight and look at my portfolios to see what the pre-market doing. I don't give a fuck about what's going on Instagram. That shit don't make no money. I'm trying to stay in the house. I don't want to go outside. I want to live in the house. I want to continue to make money in the house. People will say shit and think it's funny and shit, but then when you think about it, you making me look better. Appreciate it. I ain't looking at all that dumb shit. The reason why I continue to research, follow trends, so I can invest my money into the shit early. The reason why I continue to educate my shit on shit is because I want to beat you. So when I say, yeah, don't do what's in your best interest, cool, because we need people like you. In order for me to sell somebody something high, I need them to be uneducated to the point where they don't know that they buying something high. If everybody was smart money, there would be nobody to sell to. In order to sell, it's got to be a buyer. So when I say, all right, I'm giving you the game, but if you don't want to do what's in your best interest, all right, well then don't, because I need you too. I need people that's like-minded so we can kick it and we can bounce ideas and share information. But I also need people to not do what's in their best interest, because when I'm buying over here for $1, I need to be able to sell to you for $2. I need to be able to sell for you to $2 because I know this shit is about to come crashing down. So I need you to be stupid so I can sell to you for $2 so I can make my money, double my money, and leave you left holding the bag. Because I know you're not going to go do what's in your best interest. You're not going to educate yourself. You're too busy scrolling, looking at ass shaking and dumb shit that ain't going to amount to nothing. And you worried about, I got a homie. Every time we talk, he telling me what happened at the club. I'm 44 years. I don't give a fuck what happened in the club. He ain't got shit to talk about. Man, they having this, they having this day party and this brunch Sunday. He 3 years older than me. They having this, man. You missed it, man. I told you. So-and-so had her birthday party. Man, that shit went down, man. She brought the city out. Man, I don't give a fuck about that. Mark, you ain't really kicked it all summer. Man, I don't give a fuck about that shit, bro. I did all of that shit. I stood on couches, and every now and again, me and my girl, we go out on Saturday nights. But this nigga is out like damn near every other night of the week still. Like, bro, I ain't got that in my system no more. I don't give a fuck about that shit. But it's people like that. Every night they got to be somewhere. Doing some shit that's not adding up, that's not making them better. Not spending time consuming things that are going to put them in a better position. Not reading the room. See, I understand this. We talked about the migrants yesterday. And here it goes when I say people just don't really get it. We talking about now, right? I'm already past now, right? We already know what is going to happen because it's already happening here. So the smaller markets, you'll start to see it within a year or two, maybe sooner. But I'm thinking even further ahead, right? The people that are entering now, their kids, if I was to have a kid today or tomorrow, their kids are going to be my kids' competition. See, I'm thinking that far ahead. And see, a lot of people not thinking like that. they're going to be in position because their parents came here, got citizenship. They're doing all the vocational jobs. So by that time, they're going to be all the supervisors and managers. And we know how their culture is. They bring their people up. So their kids are going to be my kids' competition, but they're not. See, I think about this shit. I'm way ahead. They ain't, because my kids ain't going to have to go work for them. My kids ain't going to have to go work for them. They ain't going to have to know them. Shit, they could be snotty-nosed, entitled brats for all I care. They can stay at the crib as long as they want, and I'm going to make sure of that. This is why I continue to educate myself and make smart investments. They're not going to have to go deal with that shit. So when I be saying keep doing dumb shit, this is what I'm talking about. You ain't thinking that far ahead. You ain't doing what's in the best interest for you right now in your business. You need to do what's in the best interest for you and your business so you can make money, so you can have money to do other things with, to make more money, so that your kids don't have to get put in that situation where they get looked down upon, get frowned down upon, or not even get the opportunity to begin with in the first place. Because the first generation that came here illegally has now worked their way up through the system, and now they the supervisors and the managers, and nepotism is playing a part. And they overlooking you or treating you like shit. And these are some of the things that in the conversations that we have in the Discord. I'm thinking 20 years from now. You got to make smart decisions. You got to be able to read the room. When people are greedy, you should be fearful. When people are fearful, you should be greedy. Stop following trends. Stop doing dumb shit. Shout out to Trail Riddick for leveling members, joining the members only. Start doing your research. Stop just taking what people say at face value and just running with it, and then having to come back and cry to somebody else that you've been taking advantage of. Stop blaming everybody for everything because you're responsible for your decisions. Stop saying dumb shit like cheap freight and the brokers and all that shit, because if you came in because you was greedy when you should have been fearful, following the trend, not being able to read the room, and got taken advantage of by big corporations like Ryder, Penske, Enterprise, and Budget, because they're smart and they're capitalist. And they took advantage of your goofy ass from selling the trucks all the way down to what they was charging people for rentals. And then now you bought one of those trucks and you have to go on their website, or when you on the road, you driving past one of them riders and you see they trucks lined up all in front, and then they got the big cardboard signs in the windshields, buy one, get one half off, and you like, damn. And then you go on the website and see the truck that you bought is 60% less. And not only is it 60% less, you can get a second one for half off. I know how you feel. But see, can't get mad at them. Gotta get mad at yourself. See, this is what I educate people on this channel. Listen, it's a trucking channel, but you're going to get a lot more business value. I'm giving you the trucking game, but I'm also giving you the business game as well. I'm going to give you more business than I'm going to give you trucking, right? Because if you understand business, you ain't going to make a lot of the piss poor decisions that a lot of people out here is making in trucking. If you understand business, you ain't going to do shit that's not in your best interest. So when I say you have to know business, even if other people disagree, it's the person that knows business And the person who may know more business than their competition is going to be the person that wins. I ain't lied to you yet. I always tell you, show me somebody that complains. I'm going to show you somebody that make bad decisions and or don't know their operational costs. I done forecasted everything for you. I'm giving you all the tricks of the trade. All the shit that I'm giving you is things that I acquired over years in business and or a combination of things that I learned in school. And I'm sitting here doing it for free. I wish I would have had me back in 2010. Whew. Them little 4 years that it took to start really running for me to get to my stage 3 in business growth. It's 5 stages to business growth. Stage 3 is the takeoff. Woo. I probably could have did it in maybe 2. So I don't feel bad for people. And this is why I don't feel bad. Now you understand why I don't have sympathy, because I need people to do dumb shit. And if you were a smart business owner, you would think like a capitalist too. We're not going back to whatever you think back is. Whatever you think back is, we're not going there. Older people understand. You young guys who are new to business, you may not be old enough to see some economic downturns. I'm old enough. I've seen a couple. And the ones that we went through where I was still living, but it didn't affect me because I was young, I've researched those. I've lived through a few as a grown man. And I can tell you, I don't care what nobody else says. If they old enough and they dispute this, they a fool. I've never seen shit go back. I've just seen people have to adapt. Nothing is what it was before. Because if it was, then you wouldn't be complaining. Gas would still be under $1. You still be able to go to McDonald's and get a number one for $3. They still had the super size, the McValue menu. White Castle's hamburgers would still be 10 cents. Some of y'all like, damn, White Castle hamburgers was 10 cents? Yes. Gas was under $1. You'd be able to still go buy a 3-bedroom home for under $100,000. Your wife could sit at home and you could go out, make money, have 4 kids. Your wife sit at home, be a homemaker. You be able to pay the house note and drive a Cadillac. This is what the American dream looked like once upon a time. You could go to work. Your wife could sit at home. You could have 4 snotty-nosed kids, feed them, clothe them, shelter them, and drive a Cadillac. Working at the mill. Let me know if you can have 4 kids. Wife don't work. Have a 4-bedroom home and drive a brand new Cadillac Escalade in this economy. With 1 income. And I'm talking about a person who works a modest job. Plumber, electrician. Don't own the company. You're an employee. So the point that I'm trying to make is, whatever you think back is, man, when shit go back to it ain't going to go back there. You got to figure out a way to make it happen here. Because right now you scared and I'm buying. Oh, Lord, I'm buying. Listen, I'm dollar cost averaging every day. You know why? Because eventually, probably within another year or 2, things are going to really skyrocket. Because there's trends. It has to go back up. right? And shit is gonna be popular, and you gonna do what's not in your best interest. And something that I'm buying for $10 now, or let's say $100, I'm gonna give you a gem. Something that I've been dollar cost averaging for $100, $120, like Nvidia. I'm gonna sell to you in a few years for $1,000. I'm out.